This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, Bruchim Abam, welcome everyone. So we're going to call this the Purim Shiur. This might be our last Wednesday night shiur before Purim. We'll see about the schedule for next week. But for now, we'll call it the Purim Shiur. We're going to speak about a halacha. It's a halacha and it's a song. It's both. We know the Shulchan Aruch already legislates in Siman Tafrei Tzadi. Shulchan Aruch says, Sarach sheyomer Arur Haman, Baruch Mordechai, Arura Zeresh, Brucha Esther. You need to say, cursed is Haman, blessed is Mordechai. Cursed is Zeresh, blessed is Esther. Arurim kol oivdei koichavim. Cursed are all the idolaters. Bruchim kol Yisrael. Everyone is blessed. You hear that? Everyone in this room is blessed. But says the Shulchan Aruch, it's not good enough. You can't just say Arur Haman Baruch Mordechai. You can't just say Arura Zeresh Brucha Esther. You gotta throw Charvoina abon. Don't forget about Charvoina. V'tzarach sheyomer v'gam Charvoina zachalata. And also Charvoina, he should remember it for the good. And by the way, we follow the Shulchan Aruch to a T. Arur Haman, right? Asher bikesh sa'abdi Baruch Mordechai Yehudi. Arur Haman Asher. And we end off. Arura Zeresh Eshes Mavi Brucha Esther Ba'adi V'gam Charvoina Zachalata. So we follow the Nusach of the Shulchan Aruch, and we say, what? We skip all the cursed are all the Oivdei Koichavim and blessed are all the Jews. Yeah, that part we don't do. But Charvoina, we follow to the T. V'gam Charvoina Zachalata. And also Charvoina, he should be remembered for the good. So I was sort of bothered by it for a very long time. It should just say, V'charvoina Zachalata. And Charvoina. What's V'gam? Why V'gam? We know in the Torah, whenever it says the word Gam is Gam is a riboy. So why do we need to say the word V'gam? So I looked up the source of Shoshanas Yaakov. It's Yerushalmi, it's the Masechta Sweetening, and it doesn't say V'gam. Doesn't say V'gam over there. In the Yerushalmi it says Rava Amar Tzarach Loimar Arur Haman Arurim Banav Amar Pinchas Tzarach Loimar Charvoina Zachur Latov. It doesn't say V'gam Charvoina. Charvoina Zachur Latov. So where do we even get the Gam from? Where does the Gam come from? I mean, I think it fits the tune better. V'gam, V'charvoina. It's not. It's the same basically. You know. Maybe V'gam is a little bit better. If we wouldn't say it, you wouldn't know the difference. You look up Masechta Sweetening. It says, it talks about being Mekalis Tzadikim, being Mevarech the Mordechai, being Mevarech Esther, being Mevarech all of Klal Yisrael, Arur Haman, Arur Banav, Amar Pinchas, Charvoina Zachul Latov. And lo and behold, I was so happy to find that one of the great Perushim on Shas, Kikayan Diyana. My wife is a descendant of the Kikayan Diyana. Kikayan is Achroinim on Shas. He's very much in the style of the Pashtanim, in other words, to be medayik in the text. And he wants to know, what's the word V'gam doing here? He says, my Lashon V'gam in the middle of the piece. Tzarach Loimar V'charvoina Zachalata. What's V'gam Charvoina Zachalata? So that's what we're going to explore tonight.
So
yeah?
It says Baruch Mordechai.
Right.
Baruch
Brucha Esther, right. Right, so Bechlal, we're just throwing him a bone. You know, Mordechai, we give him a steak. Esther, we give her a steak. Charvoina gets a bone. Zachur Latov. By the way, the Maril writes, why do we say Zachur Latov? Because the truth is, it might not have been really Charvoina, because it really is a steer in the Megillah. In the beginning of the Megillah, Charvoina is spelled with an Aleph. In the end of the Megillah, it's spelled with a Hey. What's the Pshat? Pshat is like this. The Chazal tell us Charvoina was a bad guy. He was a Rasha. He's the one who advised Haman to hang Mordechai. So what happened in the end of the Megillah? Charvoina changes his mind and he tells Achashverosh to hang Haman. It wasn't Charvoina. It was someone dressed up like Charvoina. Who is dressed up like Charvoina? Eliyahu. And what do we say about Eliyahu? Eliyahu, Zachur Latov. So V'gam Charvoina, Zachur Latov, says the Maharil. Because he was really Eliyahu. Okay, but be that as it may. So we're giving Charvoina some remembrance, Latov. But why V'gam? That's what I want to know. Why V'gam? So Kakayin Diyana quotes the Targum Sheni. Targum Sheni on the Megillah is very interesting. If you look in the back of the old Mekoros Kedolos Chumashim, you have Targum Sheni, and on the bottom you have a Perush on the Targum Sheni called Passhegen HaKesav. And the Targum Sheni tells a little story. Targum Sheni is bothered. Why do we need to remember Charvoino L'Toiv? Charvoino is a bad guy. Why should we remember him L'Toiv? So the Targum Sheni says one thing Charvoino did that was good. When he saw that Haman was having a downfall and Mordechai was about to be victorious, he told Achashverosh, you should know that the truth is that Haman didn't just want to hang Mordechai, he wanted to hang you also. He also wanted to hang you. Charvoino, he jumps on the bandwagon. Right? If this team has the player, you follow this team. If that team has the player. So Charvoino used to be, Charvoino became a Browns fan. Okay? Charvoino jumped on the bandwagon. And Charvoino said, look, I'm gonna go with Mordechai now. So Charvoino decided to tell Achashverosh, let's hang Haman. So the pshat is, V'gam Charvoino zocher l'tov, we're going to remember Charvoino for one little thing. For the time that he changed his mind and he told Achashverosh, let's hang Mordechai. Now, I'll tell you the truth, I'm not sure if the Kikar Dion is saying this. I once heard this many years ago. It could be he's saying this. The pshat in V'gam Charvoino zocher l'tov is like this. Charvoino is a bad guy. He's a bad dude, that Charvoino. But he did one good thing in his life. You know what he did? He said the word Gam. Gam hinei ha'etz asher asa Hama. He said, look in the Pasuk, look at number 6. Vayomer Charvoino echa e'asarisim lefnei hamelech. Gam hinei ha'etz asher. So the one good thing he did was he said the word Gam. So Charvoino is a bad guy, but V'gam Charvoino, the word V'gam of Charvoino, zocher l'tov, we're going to remember that for the good. Exactly. Charvoino is a bad guy. V'gam Charvoino, it's the V'gam of Charvoino, that's what we're going to remember for the good.
Fits into the context of this Pasuk test.
And that's what?
Fits into the context of this.
So Gam Hineha. So what's Pshat in Charvoino? Why did Charvoino say Gam? So Kikayin Diyana says it's merumas in the word Gam that Charvoino was telling Achashverosh he wants to hang you also. He doesn't just want to hang Mordechai. Gam you. Gam hineho es asher asa Haman. He's going to hang Mordechai. He wants to hang you as well, and he's going to marry Esther. So the Gam Charvoino, we're remembering the Gam of Charvoino, and in the word the Gam of Charvoino, we see that Charvoino wanted to let Achashverosh know that Haman wanted to hang him as well. Okay, Marv Rabbi Sai, what we're going to try to explore tonight is a new pshat in the Gam.
It's not a matter. It doesn't show in the words that he's.
Yeah, Gam, in other words, Charvoino is saying, Gam hinei ha'etz. He's not just making the tree for you, he's making it for Achashverosh as well.
The same
okay.
Tree, the same tree?
The same tree. He's going to hang both of them. Okay? We're going to try to explore tonight a new pshat. V'gam Charvoino zocher l'tov. Okay? A very interesting pshat. Okay? Many years ago. This is going back maybe 8 years ago, 9 years ago. I was looking at the Megillah, and I noticed that there are 2 psukim that are just the longest psukim you'll ever see. I realized these psukim, they don't end. I never saw these psukim are 3 or 4 times bigger than any pasuk in the Tanach. And there are 2 psukim that are almost exactly the same. They're just a little bit off. The first pasuk is probably the worst pasuk in the whole Tanakh, and the last pasuk is the best pasuk in the Tanakh. When I say worst, is the worst basura in the whole Torah, Nevi'im, and Ksuvim, and the other pasuk is the best basura in the whole Tanakh. How's that? When Haman originally made his decree, and he hired the Soifrim to record his diabolical decree to destroy Klal Yisrael. So the pasuk says like this: Vayikaru. Look at number 6. Soifrei hamelech b'chodesh harishayin b'shloisha asar yahim b'ay vaykasev v'asher ziva Haman avzar b'nei hamelech v'labachoi sasham b'nam v'asar b'nam b'nam nosam v'haman kashav b'shem ha'chashosh nechtav v'nechtam b'tabas hamelech. I mean, look at this pasuk.
Over a sentence.
First of all, it takes about 35 words till you get to an asnachta. It's got to be the most words until you get to an asnachta, except for the pasuk we're about to see. What's going on in this pasuk? So I looked in the Rekeach, and the Rekeach Taka says this pasuk is out of control. There are 40 words in this pasuk. There are 40 words in most psukim have 12 words. There are 40 words in this pasuk. Keneged the 40 days with which the Torah was given, that even though Haman is about to make this decree, the 40 days of the Nesinas HaTorah are going to protect us. So Hashem, so to speak, elongated the pasuk to offer us the protection of the Nesinas HaTorah. Okay? This is what I would call the second to longest pasuk in the Tanach. And what's the longest pasuk in Tanach? The best pasuk in Tanach. When finally Haman's decree was abolished, and Achashverosh tells Mordechai, you know what, you can write whatever you want. Vayikaru Sefrei HaMelech Bo'isahi V'chodesh HaShlishi U'chodesh Sivan V'shloisha v'yesrim B'ai. And the whole thing again, that it's going to be sent out from Hoidaviad Kush, 127 Medinos, all the languages to the Yehudim according to their language and according to their text. And again, Nachamal, the Rakech says, Zeh Pasuk Hagadol Shebechol Chaf Dalet Svarim. This is the biggest pasuk in the whole Tanach. Kihula Toivasan Shal Yisrael. This is the best basura that ever happened to Klal Yisrael. You have to understand. The worst decree, the worst gezer that was ever looming over our heads was the gezer of Haman, Lahashmil Argal Yabed. And therefore, the best basura Klal Yisrael ever got was that Haman's decree is abolished. Therefore, the pasuk that says that the gezerah was abolished is the best pasuk in Tanach and is given the prestige and the honor of being the longest pasuk in Tanach. And how many words are in the longest pasuk in Tanach? 43 words. 43 words. 40 in the second longest pasuk in Tanach. 43 in the longest pasuk in Tanach. Why 43? So the Rakech explains. You need 40 to counteract the first 40. The first pasuk that has 40 words was a pasuk Chas Hashem to destroy Klal Yisrael. So you need to be mavatalit. So you need 40 more words to be mavatalit. And how are we mavatalit? With 3 days of fasting. So therefore the pasuk is 43 words. 40 keneged, 40 plus another 3 days of tanesim. Okay? But it's interesting that the pasuk that's the longest in the whole Tanach, the pasuk which is the greatest basura and the greatest toiva ever to Klal Yisrael is how many words? 43 words. What is the significance of the number 43? We've had a lot of numbers in the past. We've had 54. Yeah. We have 54. By the way, I just, after our 54 shiur, I saw the Chidah says, what does Purim mean? Purim. What's Puria in the Gemara? Tam Chacham is allowed to lie about Oshpiza and Puria. What's Puria? A bed. Purim is called a bed. Why? Because Haman had a downfall on the Mita. What's the gematria of Mita? 54, of course. The name Purim is 54. Okay, that's reserved back for the 54 shiur. But tonight we're discussing the biggest pasuk in Tanach, the pasuk which is the greatest basura for Klal Yisrael. The pasuk has 43 words. What is the significance of the number 43? Rabbi Glatstein, Havan is Bainain. Let's see if we could uncover Neflois Mitar Sena Akadosha. Okay, Marv Rabbi Glatstein, let's go back to the second longest pasuk in the Tanach. 40 words, yeah? That's what we said, the pasuk that has the greatest threat to our people. The first pasuk of Vayikaru Sefrei HaMelech B'chodesh HaRishon. The next pasuk, which in a way is even worse, because this is where the decree is being sent out and being carried out. V'nishlayach sifarim b'yad haratzim al kamadinais hamelech lashmid laroi. This is also an interesting pasuk. Again, this is the pasuk after the second longest pasuk in the Tanach. You know what's interesting about this pasuk? It's one of the only pasukim in the Tanach that has every single letter of the Aleph base.
Not true.
Except for one.
There's one in the Chumash, it's in by the Mon.
Okay, I didn't say it's the only. It's one of the only. The truth is, actually, how many psukim are there in Tanakh that has every letter of the Aleph base? There are 22, according to the Rakech. There might be different versions of it. 22 psukim in the Tanakh that have every letter of the Aleph base. But even this one that has every letter of the Aleph base doesn't have every letter of the Aleph base. It's missing the final tzaddik, the straight tzaddik. You know why? Because there were 8 note tzaddikim in Shushan. It's a famous song. It's an old song. 8 note tzaddikim in Shushan, you know? Remember? So there are no straight tzaddiks There are no straight tzaddiks. Crooked tzaddiks are a dime a dozen, let me tell you. Straight tzaddiks, straight tzaddikim, that's a little bit harder to find. So in this pasuk, look, you even have an end of chaf, hamelach, you have an end of mem, hayehudim, you have an end of nun zaken, you have an end of pei taf, you have all the final letters except for an end of tzaddik. Comes the heilige manas halev of Shlomo HaKabetz. Look how much Rebbeinu Shalom loves Klal Yisrael. Because after the harshest pasuk in the whole Tanach, 40 words about our impending destruction, immediately the Rebbeinu Shalom gives us a pasuk that has every letter of the Aleph Beis. And by the way, how do we know it has every letter of the Aleph Beis? First of all, you could see. Second of all, because the Messiah in the Navi Yecheskel lists all the 22 psukim that has every letter of the Aleph Beis, and this is one of them. The Rebbeinu Shalom immediately offers us protection, and in the very next pasuk, it has every single letter of the Aleph Beis to show us, to teach us that the Rebbeinu Shalom will always protect us in the zchus of the Torah. I remember a long, long time ago. Now this is going back probably about 10 years ago, maybe more. Rabbi Rucham Oshin came to our shul, and he said over a chazal, I never heard this yisoid before, but this is the yisoid that the Manas Halev is about to enunciate, and that is he quotes a medrash. And the medrash says that the Satan came to Hashem, and the Satan came to Hashem, and the Satan said, okay, Klal Yisrael, they're being nene at the Suda of Achashverosh, they're at the Kiddush, they have 50 types of cholent, everything is kosher, but it's indulgent, it's too much food. And the Rebbeinu Shalom is about to sign away. Whereupon the Medrash says, the Torah HaKadosha girded itself in sackcloth and cried out to Rebbeinu Shalom, and the Torah said to Hashem, Hashem, save Klal Yisrael. And to me it was like, this is an eye-opening Medrash. What does that mean, the Torah appealed to Hashem? Like, who's the Torah exactly? The Torah is a living entity. The Torah has a personality. Yeah, the Torah is a living entity. The Torah appeals to the Rebbeinu Shalom. I remember Rabbi Rucham Oshin said over a similar medrash that when Yaakov was splitting up his camp because Esav was coming, so Yaakov daven pen hikani eimal banim. So Yaakov says to Hashem, lest Esav kill mother and child. But the Medrash says that Yaakov was saying is, what's going to be with the Torah where it says, loisikach ha'im al abanim? I mean, what's going to be with the Torah? If Hashem decides that there's a gzera, I don't know what's going to be with the Torah. But you see from here, it's like the Torah is a distinctive, separate personality, and you could appeal through the rachamim of the Torah. Okay. Be it as it may, says Rav Shlomo HaKabetz, immediately after this terrible threat, the Pasuk in the Megillah is written with every single letter of the Aleph Beis to offer a tremendous degree of protection to Klal Yisrael. So, Marv Rabbeisai, we have to try to understand what's the significance of the 43 words in the longest Pasuk in Tanach. What was the Yeshua of Purim? And this brings us to a very great subject. I don't think we ever spoke about it as a topic in and of itself. We're going to talk tonight about Hamtakas Hadinim, sweetening the din, sweetening Midas Hadin. This is a concept very much found in the Kisvei Arizal and the Sifrei Chasidus. Hamtakas Hadinim. We know there's something called Midas Hadin, and Tzadikim are especially empowered to sweeten the dinim and to bring the Midas Hadin to Midas Harachamim. So we begin with the Sif and Shulchan Aruch. We know, of course, the day of Purim is an incredible day. And we like to compare Purim to what day of the year? There are two. Purim is Yom Kippurim. The thing is, Purim and Yom Kippur are actually polar opposites. Purim and Yom Kippur will not come out on the same day of the week. They could not be more polar opposites. But there's actually one day on the calendar that will always fall out on the same day of the week as Purim. These 2 days will always fall out on the same day. Purim and Lag BaOmer. Not in Tisha B'Av. Purim and Lag BaOmer. Purim and Lag BaOmer will always be the same day of the week. Look at number 12. The Halach and Shulchan Aruch. La'olam b'yom sheyiyah Purim yiyah Lag LaOmer. Lag LaOmer will always be on the same day of Purim. The Siman, Peleg. Peleg. The Siman is Peleg, okay? Tonight, we're talking about Peleg. Tonight's subject is Peleg. Okay, so first of all, the question is, What in the world do Purim and Lag BaOmer have in common? We don't shoot bows and arrows on Purim. We don't drink yayin on Lag BaOmer. We don't dress up in costumes on Lag BaOmer. We don't have bonfires on Purim. Reb Shimon Bar Yochai is not necessarily. We don't invoke him on Purim. What could possibly be the connection between Lag BaOmer and Purim? So we come to an amazing sefer. This is one of the most mystical svarim of Remez that you'll ever find. We quoted it once, and this sefer is the Imre Yosef of Spinka. The Imre Yosef of Spinka, 1838 to 1909. So his son was the Chakal Yitzchak, who was killed in the Holocaust in 1944. But the Imre Yosef was one of the great Mekubalim and one of the great Balei HaRemez. And the Imre Yosef brings down a side of the son-in-law of Reb Tzvi Hersh Mizidchav. Okay? So the Imre Yosef brings down a side from the son-in-law of Reb Tzvi Hersh Mizidchav. Now I have to introduce Reb Tzvi Hersh Mizidchav. It's kedai to come down to this world just to introduce Reb Tzvi Hersh Mizidchav. Reb Tzvi Hersh Mizidchav was one of the greatest ma'amikim in the Sifrei Kabbalah who ever lived. The Bnei Yissaschar writes about him, he never saw someone who learned Kabbalah b'iyun like Reb Tzvi Hersh Mizidchav. The Malbim, who is not a chassid, my grandfather's grandfather knew the Malbim very, very well. He was a very close friend of the Malbim. This is in the 1860s in Linschitz. The Malbim, it was a great Makubal, learned Kabbalah from Reb Tzvi Hersh Mizidchav. Reb Tzvi Hersh Mizidchav knew the Zohar so well that he was known as the Sar Beis HaZohar. In other words, he had the Zohar in his back pocket. It's a play on words. Sar Beis HaZohar, Sar Beis HaZohar. Reb Tzvi Hersh was the Talmud Muvak of the Chayz Milublin. Tzvi Hersh was nifter in 1831. And I'll tell you two things about Reb Tzvi Hersh. First of all, and both of them come from the Minchas Elazar. We have to get in the Munkacher tonight, right? The Munkacher, of course, wrote many Svarim. In the Minchas Elazar, he has a tshuva. Reb Tzvi Hersh, his name was Tzvi Hersh. His son-in-law was Rabbi Yehuda Tzvi Mirazla, who the Imre Yosef is about to quote. The problem is the father-in-law and the son-in-law have the same name, because the father-in-law is Reb Tzvi Hersh Mizidchav, and the son-in-law is Rabbi Yehuda Tzvi. They're both Tzvi. So Minchas Elazar has a tshuva that we learn from Reb Tzvi Hersh Mizidchav that if you have a son-in-law with the same name, but there's one name off, it's good enough. Where do we learn this from? But the Sefer Hasidim says the father-in-law and son-in-law can't have the same name. We learn from Reb Tzvi Hersh Mizidchav, who took a son-in-law, Rabbi Yehuda Tzvi Mirazla, that one name off is good enough. Then the Minchas Elazar and the Sefer Divrei Torah brings down a tradition from Reb Tzvi Hersh Mizidchav. This is in Divrei Torah Aleph, Chelek Aleph, Ois Tes. That Reb Tzvi Hersh, when he was about to go to the next world, he said he wants to give tzedakah li'iloi nishmas Reb Meir Balanes. What's the Indian of giving tzedakah li'iloi nishmas Reb Meir Balanes b'shas hasakana? There's an amazing go'inus. There's a go'inus. The pshat is that if somebody's sick and they're a goyses, the Gemara says roiv goysesim lamisa. So the guy is in hot water because roiv is paskening, he's dead. He could be breathing, but roiv paskens, he's dead. So you need a chidush, you need to be choishish for the miyut. But we were not choishish for the miyut. But Reb Meir is choishish for the miyut. So you give tzedakah li'iloi nishmas Meir Balanes, you support the Reb Meir's institution of choishish and lemiyut, and alakad de Meir aneni, Rebbe I need to be bailed out through the miyut over here. That's the Indian. Okay. But
Is the daughter has the same name as the mother-in-law? Is that the same thing? If it's one off, it's okay?
well,
Does he mention it?
no. Okay, that's beyond the scope of this. The subject of mother-in-laws is well beyond the scope of today's share. Okay? So, you know what Mark Twain said? Behind every great man is a surprised mother-in-law. Okay. So, this is the Yisoid of Rabbi Yehuda Tzvi of Meradzel, who is the son-in-law of Rabbi Tzvi Hersh Mizidchav. Marv Rabbi said, listen carefully. You know what the connection between Lag BaOmer and Purim is? There's a famous Arizal. The Arizal says, what's the chashivus of Lag BaOmer? What happened on Lag BaOmer? Why the Talmidim of Rabbi Kiva stopped dying on Lag BaOmer? Listen carefully. The name Elohim is Gematria what? 86, right? Aleph, Lamed, Hey, Yud, Mem. Elohim. is 86. Okay, it's a hey, not a kuf. Kuf is 100, but Elohim with a hey is 86. Fine. The Arizal tells us a secret in many places, that if you're able to change the letters of Elohim to the letter right before Elohim, it's mamtik the dinim, it sweetens the dinim. Okay, you could write this down, otherwise it's going to be hard to follow. So let's take the word Elohim, and we're going to change each letter to the letter before it. The Aleph becomes a Aleph, because there's nothing before Aleph. The final Mem becomes a regular Mem. So the Aleph and the Mem are really staying the same. So the bookends of Elohim can't really be changed. But the three middle letters are Lamed He Yud. The Lamed becomes a Chaf. The He becomes a Daled. The Yud becomes a Tes. So the two bookends remain Aleph Mem. The three middle letters become Chaf, Daled, Tes. Gematria what? Chaf, Daled, Tes. Ain't no 75. Chaf, Daled, Tes is 33. 33 is the magical number of Rachamim. Memela, says the Arizal, Elohim is 86. The Aleph and the Mem are unbudgeable. But the Lamed He Yud becomes Chaf, Daled, Tes, 33. When the 33rd day of the Omer came, the letters Chaf, Daled, Tes were Meir, and they were Meir Rachamim Gemurim, and therefore the Rebbe Shem had Rachmanis and the Talmidei Rabbi Kiva, and they stopped dying through the koyach of the letters Aleph, Lamed, Aleph, Chaf, Daled, Tes, Mem. Aleph, Chaf, Daled, Tes, Mem. Gematria 74. 86 becomes 74. Or another way of saying it, got it? Right? Aleph, Lamed, He, Yud, Mem, 86 becomes Aleph, Chaf, Daled, Tes, Mem, 74. 86 becomes 74. Or the middle letters, Lamed He Yud, 45 becomes what? Lamed Gimel, 33. Chaf, Daled, Tes. 45 becomes 33. So what we learned from Lag BaOmer is if you could take the number 45 and knock it down to 33, that's great Rachamim. That's exactly what we do in the Megillah. How? Megillah is Mem, Gimel, Lamed, He. The bookends of Megillah, Mem, He, 45. The middle letters of Megillah, Gimel, Lamed, 33. We take the 45, the Lamed, He, Yud, and we make it Gimel, Lamed, 33. So what we're doing on Lag BaOmer, we're doing on Purim. What are we doing? Peleg. That's the Pshat in Peleg. Peleg is Purim, Lag BaOmer. Both of these days, we take Midas Hadin, and we make it into Midas Harachamim. How do we do it? You take the middle letters of Elohim. Why the middle letters? Again, because the bookends of Elohim are unbudgeable. You can't do anything with an Aleph. You can't do anything with a Mem. But the Lamed He Yud, you can make it into Chaf, Daled, Tes, 33. You take 45, you make it 33. How do you do that on Purim? Look at the word Megillah. Mem, Gimel, Lamed, He. You take the Mem and the He on the bookends, 45, and you make it Gimel, Lamed in the middle, 33. Okay. Forget the Yud. Yud is not. We're not medaktikim bechaseres v'yaseros. Okay. Megillah. So it happens to be there's a sefer Bris Kahunas Olam from Yitzchak Isaac Mikaretz, who is one of Mamish the Go'onim in Ramazim. He just says very cryptically, the pnimius of the Oisiyos Elohim, which are Lamed He Yud, are the secret of Chaf, Daled, Tes. That's the secret of the word Megillah. He doesn't explain. What does that mean? The pnimius of Elohim, Lamed He Yud, that's 45, is exchanged for Chaf, Daled, Tes. That's the secret of Megillah. But now we know what the secret of Megillah is. The secret of Megillah is to take the Mem and the He on the end and make it to 33 Lamed Gimel in the middle. The question is, how do you do it? So easier said than done. Basically, you want to take Elohim, Aleph, Lamed, He, Yud, Mem, and make an Aleph, Chaf, Daled, Tes, Mem. How do you make 86 into 74? So many years ago, I heard this business with the Elohim turning into Aleph, Chaf, Daled, Tes, Mem, and I figured I should ask the Shvilei Pinchas, where does this come from? So he sent me many months ago. He once wrote it up like 30 years ago in his personal notes. So he sent me his personal notes on the subject, on the Aleph, Chaf, Daled, Tes, Mem subject. So I have it on the sheets. This is uncharted Shvilei Pinchas territory over here. And the Shvile Pinchas quotes another Arizal. How do you make 86 into 74? There's another Arizal. 74, Aleph Chav Dalet Tes Mem, Im HaKoilel 75 is Bitachon. Bitachon is 75. If a person is in a time of din, and a person is in a bind, person is in a jam, and they have Midas HaBitachon, they could transform Midas Hadim El Elokim to Aleph Chav Dalet Tes Mem, Gematria Bitachon. This is the side, says the Arizal. Bitchu B'Hashem Adei Ad. Trust in Hashem, and then you're going to make it into Ad 74. You're going to take Elokim, and you're going to make it into 74. What's 74? The Shem of Rachmim. Aleph Chaf Dalet Tes Mem. Through the Midah Bitachon. Bitchu B'Hashem Adei Ad. Through Bitachon, you take Elokim, you transfer Elokim to the letters before, and you create Bitachon. And you create Midas Harachamim. It's a very interesting thing. We know which parak in Tehillim discusses the miracle of Purim. Parak Chav Beis, Lam Natseach Ala Yelas HaShachar, Mizmor LeDavid. The Gemara says, just like Esther, just like the morning star is the end of the night, Esther is the end of all miracles in the Tanach. In that parak in Tehillim, we're discussing the miracle of Purim. It says, B'cha batchu avoseinu, batchu vatfal teimai. In you, our forefathers trusted. They trusted, and Rebbe Shem, you redeemed them. Where do we find in the Megillah that Klal Yisrael trusted in HaKadosh Baruch Hu? There's a big pella on the story. There's one little detail in the story that everyone gets excited about, and really does not seem to have contributed in any way to the Yeshua of Purim. Think about the story. Haman makes a decree to annihilate the Jews. Mordechai is wearing sackcloth because he knows in about 11 months we're done. All of a sudden, they read to the king the book of the Zechronos. Haman walks in that moment. The king says, what should I do to Mordechai? Haman says, let him wear the royal clothing. And Haman, before we know it, Haman is leading Mordechai through the street, and everything is wonderful, right? And Zeresh dumps garbage on his head, and the best part of the story. And everyone's getting all excited because Mordechai has his day in the sun. In what way did this miracle contribute to the salvation of the Jewish people? It did nothing. What did it do? It wasn't the beginning of the salvation. Well, what happened after that? Where did Mordechai go after this little story? Mordechai went, put on his sackcloth, put on his ashes. He told Klal Yisrael, in 11 months, it's all over. So what exactly was this little miracle about? It didn't help anyone. The next day, Esther still invited them to the party, and Esther still had to plead for her life. It's not like the fact that Mordechai was led through the street contributed to the salvation of Klal Yisrael. So why is it part of the storyline? Why do we get all Bala Elohahu Nadida? You got to shake the Megillah. It has nothing to do with anything. It's a nice little twist in the story, but it didn't really bring the Yeshua.
Yes, it did.
How did it bring the Yeshua?
Because that's what made Achashverosh
No, it didn't.
think
No.
about Mordechai. That
He thought Mordechai was a good guy, and now he rewarded him, and now they're going to die in 11 months. He didn't change the Gezerah.
But eventually Mordechai was to become great because
That's because Esther pled for him. But the fact that he had a nice day wearing Achashverosh's riding on the horse, big spiel. What do you think to turn? It's not a football game where there's momentum. There's no momentum here. Right now, you could look in the Chronicles of Persia media, and we're dead. That's it. Lahashmid Lara Guliyabed. Mordechai put on his sackcloth after. Says the Vilna Gaon, there's an incredible Gaon on the Siddur. The Gaon says, on the words in the Siddur, Baruch Atah Hashem, Mishan number 18, Mishan u'miftach latzadikim. God is the Mishan, the staff of leaning, and the trust of the righteous. What's the double lashon? Mishan u'miftach. It's actually probably kedai to know what this means, since we do say it 3 times a day. What does it mean? Mishan u'miftach latzadikim. Says the Vilna Gaon, the Ribbon Shalom, when he brings a tzara, he won't bring the Yeshua until a Yid has absolute faith in him. The Ribbon Shalom is looking for bitachon. The only thing is, it's very hard to have bitachon when things seem desperate, when the situation seems hopeless. So Hashem wants to make it a little easier. Hashem knows that if Klal Yisrael would be in Shushan and preparing for the looming decree, and Haman is preparing in 11 months to kill us, then how Klal Yisrael would fall into the pit of Yush. So Yibon Shem sometimes shows a glimmer of hope, so that a Yid thinks, you know what? Look how the Yad Hashem can make things change so quickly. No, we don't have a salvation yet. We're still in the hot water. We're still in big trouble. But it gives the Yid something to rely on, to lean on, to allow us to reach the higher level of bitachon. So the Rebbe Shem first is a mission. He gives us something to lean on, and then it allows us to elevate ourselves to the level of bitachon. And whatever problem a Yid has, the Rebbe Shem first offers a rod of support, and then he allows us to have the bitachon in him. The Gra gives two examples in Mitzrayim. The Jews are wallowing in Mitzrayim, languishing in Mitzrayim. We're a mem tesharei tuma, and all of a sudden the Mitzrayim turn on their showers and blood comes out. If you're a Yid, what's that gonna do for me? So fine, the Mitzrayim have blood in their showers. Who cares? We're still desperate. We're still slaves in Egypt. The answer is the purpose of the Makkos is so the Yid could think, you know what? Things might change in this country. You never know. The Ribbon Shem still loves us. Maybe there'll be a Yeshua. And then the Jew says, you know what? I see something could happen. I'm going to put my faith in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But without that glimmer of hope, it's too big of a jump. The gap is too large to have trust in Hashem. Says the Gra, it's the same thing in the time of Purim. The miracle that Haman led Mordechai through the street accomplished absolutely nothing for the salvation of Klal Yisrael. Other than the fact that after that night, when the Yid went to sleep, they said, you know what? Maybe if we turn things around, the Rebbeinu Shalom will turn things around. Maybe if we do tshuva, the Rebbeinu Shalom is not ignoring us. He still has Yecholes, he still has the Ratzain. Maybe if we do what we have to do, pull it together, there'll be an even bigger miracle. The Rebbeinu Shalom is Mishon and then he's Miftach. And through Midas HaBitachon, Peleg, both on Purim, through Megillah, Memhei on the outside, Lamed Gimel on the inside, and Lag BaOmer, which is Chaf Daled Tes 33. It's Mamtik the Dinim, through the Midas HaBitachon. By the way, on Lag BaOmer is the day the mun fell. The mun represents, the mun Hashem feeds the mun to the Bali Bitachon. Through Bitachon, you're able to be Mamtik the Dinim. Says Rabbi Yehuda Tzvi Meiradzil, Peleg Elokim. What you want to do is you want to be mamtik the shame of Elokim. You want to make it from 86 to 74, and if you do that, Malei Mayim. Look back in the Pasuk. Look in number 13. Peleg Elokim Malei Mayim. If you're able on Peleg, be it Purim, be it Lag BaOmer, to be mamtik the Shem Elokim, so that adds the Imre Yosef Malei Mayim, then it will be full of chesed. Because Rabim Machoivim B'lo Rasha, there are many evils that surround the Rasha. V'haboiteach B'Hashem, but through Midas HaBitachon, the Bitachon itself, chesed Yisayvivenu, will cause chesed to surround the person.
Rabbi, it's like Parshat Balak. Like Hashem protect us from the curse of Balak, and the rest of the people didn't know there's something going on.
Yeah.
It's similar to this.
Right, very good.
Isn't it also the opposite side? They saw that the change was coming about. They were able to realize it themselves, and that instilled within.
Okay, there are many dimensions of the storyline.
What did they do after that?
Oh, so that's the Pshat Rabbi Sai. If you go back in the Pasuk in Tehillim, the Pasuk emphasizes that in the times of Purim they had double bitachon. B'cha batchu avosenu, batchu vatfal temai. Why the two? Why a double lashon of bitachon? Because when they saw Mordechai being led through the streets, that gave them the first level of bitachon, and that elevated them through the power of Mishon, that the Baruch Shem became the miftach to the tzaddikim. It was Mishon u miftach la tzaddikim. Marv Rabbi Sai, but the main offering of the night. This is the tremendous chiddush of none other than Reb Tzvi Hersh Miziditchav himself. And this is not found in any of the Svarim of Tzvi Hersh Miziditchav, but it's found in 3 places in the Sefer Imre Yosef who quotes Reb Tzvi Hersh Mizadachav. In Parshas Pinchas, in Parshas Bechukoisai, and in Parshas Emor. And the truth is, Reb Tzvi Hersh's son-in-law, Rabbi Yehuda Tzvi Meirazela, quotes Reb Tzvi Hersh in Rabbi Yehuda Tzvi's Sefer Das Kedoshim. And that is a tremendous yisoid. So far we learned there's one way to be mamtik the dinim. How we mamtik the dinim? Through the midah of bitachon. You take the letters Aleph, Lamed, Hey, Yud, Mem, and you're makdim them. Aleph, Chaf, Daled, Tes, Mem, 86 to 74. But there's another secret in the Pasuk, Peleg Elokim Malei Mayim. There's another way to turn Elokim Midas Hadin into Midas Harachamim. Peleg! The whole world runs on Peleg. How do you take Elokim and make it Midas Harachamim? Peleg! Split Elokim. Take 86 and make it what number? Take 86 and split it. 43. If you're able to Peleg Elokim, split 86 into 43, then Molei Mayim, you'll see everything is full of chesed. Meaning, you look at the Midas Hadin, it looks like it's Molei Oinshim, Molei Dinim. All you got to do is break through and see what's on the inside. 43, Peleg Elokim. So you say, what's 43? You know what 43 is? Toiv Hashem. Hashem is Yud Kei Vav Kei, and Toiv is 17. Toiv Hashem is 43. On the inside of Elokim, you'll see Toiv Hashem, 17 and 40 and 26. That's the side of Reb Tzvi Hersh Mizadachav, as quoted by the Imre Yosef. Look at number 22. Number 22, when it talks about the Yidden that were counted in Parshas Pinchas, 43,000, says the Imre Yosef of Spinka, Ki noida mirabenu mizidachav besoid peleg Elokim malei mayim. That the hamtaka, the sweetening of Elokim, is when you take Elokim, you take 86, and you split it in half. Like his son-in-law, like Reb Tzvi Hersh's son-in-law, Rabbi Tzvi Meirazela reports. This is Pshat. Peleg Elokim, if you split Elokim, malei mayim. It's full of water. Why is it full of water? Because you'll see, you know what's inside the Midas Hadin? Toiv Hashem, 17 and 26, 43. Says Rabbi Yehuda Tzvi Meirazela, if you look at number 26, another Pasuk in Tehillim. Gam Hashem yitein ha-toiv. Gam! If you realize that Elokim is just 43 gam, you'll see Hashem yitein ha-toiv. You'll see it's just Hashem is giving what is good. Hashem toiv is 43. Through the midah of gam, you'll see that it's Hashem toiv. Toiv Hashem is 43. So I mentioned to the Shvilei Pinchas Shlita that I wanted to tie it in with the longest pasuk in Tanach. He said he once saw in a bencher that there's one parak in the Tehillim that has 43 words. Mizmar L'Soida. Mizmar L'Soida has 43 words. And it's amazing. How does Mizmar L'Soida end? We say, Mizmar L'Soida Riel Hashem Kol Haaretz. If there's Hashem B'Simcha, De'u, you should know. You should know that Elokim, you know who Elokim is? Hashem. Always realize that the Midas Hadin is sourced in the Yud Kei Vav Kei Midas Harachamim. Du ki Hashem, who Elokim? Hashem is Elokim. And if you realize that, Haidulai, Baruch Hu Shemai. You know why? Because if you realize and focus on these 43 words, you realize Ki Toiv Hashem. Toiv Hashem is 43. It's the only parak until now, has 43 words. Yeah, Dar Vadar Manasai. So the Shvilei Pinchas shared with me in his notes, maybe that was the secret of Nachum, Ish, Gam, Zu. Whatever happened to the guy, to the Tana, whatever happened to the Tana, no matter how bad it was, Gam Zula Taiva. What's the secret of Gam? He should say Zula Taiva. What's he busy with the Gam? No, it's all in the Gam. To realize the Midas Hadin, just open it up. Just open up the Midas Hadin and you'll see Ki Toiv Hashem. Gam Zula Toiva. When your attitude toward the Midas Hadin is Gam, then you'll realize it's for the good. Marv Rabbi Sai, could it then be, and this is what we would like to suggest, that is why the distinction of the longest Pasuk in Tanach and the best Pasuk in Tanach, a Pasuk that comes out of after a lot of Midas Hadin, after a Gzeira of a Pasuk earlier of 40 words, Lahashmid, Lareg, Liabed, the longest Pasuk in the whole Tanakh, the biggest Pasuk in Tanakh, the best Pasuk in the whole Tanakh is how many words? 43 words. Why 43? What in the world is 43? But now we learn the site of 43 is Peleg Elokim. When you split open the Midas Hadin, you'll realize that the Midas Hadin is really Yud Kei Vav Kei. It's Kitoiv Hashem. It's number 43. It's Gam Zula Toiva. And perhaps then, it's interesting, and it's probably not a coincidence, that the turning point in the Megillah, because Achashverosh says, I don't know what to do. Mordechai, Haman, I don't know, is it this is it that things aren't a balance. Kishazek comes, Neufel, every day someone else says, where's the turning point in the Megillah? Charvoino comes along and says, come on, the whole thing's a charade. You think it's Midas Hadin? Gam hinei ha'etz asher asa. When Charvoina invokes the power of the Gam of 43 of Kitoiv Hashem, somehow that triggers the great Rachamim, because this is Peleg Elokim. Through splitting the Midas Hadin, Malei Mayim, you'll see it's full of Chesed. You'll see it's full of water. You'll see Kitoiv Hashem. Perhaps that is why the prestige and the distinction of the longest pasuk in Tanakh is Parak Ches, Pasuk Tes, a total of 43 words. V'gam charvoina zachor latoiv. We remember it was really latoiva. We remember it was gamzu latoiva. Rabbi Sai wishing everyone a freilich and Purim. We should all be zoicha Yeshua's v'nachamais. We should be zoicha to be mamtik all the dinam on Klal Yisrael. The Sfarim bring down one last thing, that in every generation the gezerah of Haman is looming in every generation. That's why Mordechai says, let's make a Yom Tif. Purim should be a Yom Tif. And Klal Yisrael said, ain't no Yom Tif yet. It's still scary. That's why we fast Tainus Esther to abolish the decree of Haman in every dar. And therefore, Mordechai wanted it to be a Yom Tif with no Matanas Lev Yoinim, and Chazal said, no, it ain't no Yom Tif yet. We're still under the threat of Haman. Therefore, we need Matanas Lev Yoinim, Tzedakah Tatzel Mimaves. Rabbi Yonasan Eibeshit says. That's why we drink on Purim. Ke'ilu, we're not even alive, so that the Gzeira of Haman should be Chal in that Oifen. So we should be Zoicha. It's a day of Adar, as we've said many times. On the one hand, it was a dangerous month, but we're able to be Mamtik the month. We're able to transform the month, open up the Midas Hadin, and recognize Mazel Adar Da Gim, Mem Gimel, that we should be Zoicha. V'gam charvoina zochol atov. Rabbi Glatstein, Felchem Purim. Shkoyach.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.